Two banks buy the exact same frontier AI model. Same vendor, same capabilities, same day. A year later, one of them is pulling ahead. Better answers, faster rollouts, fewer surprises. On every AI use case, it ships. Same model. So what's different? Hold that question. We'll answer it at the end. First, why the question is the wrong place most boards start. Quick orientation. This is a series about one idea, built one step at a time. We start at the bottom. The reframe. Why the model everyone's racing to buy is not where your advantage lives. Everything else stands on this step, so let's set it properly. Here's the claim, stated plainly. The frontier model is becoming a utility, like power or connectivity. Every serious institution will run comparable models. A growing number already do. You procure access, so does the bank across the street. And the gap between the best model and the next one keeps narrowing, while the cost keeps falling. That is what a utility does. If the thing you're buying is the same thing your competitor can buy tomorrow, it is not your advantage. It's table stakes. So, if not the model, then where does advantage actually live? Advantage lives in the things the market can't sell you. 3 of them. First, your authoritative data, what active customer or committed exposure actually means in your books, not in general, in your institution, agreed and traceable. Second, your documented procedures, how the work is actually done here, how an alert gets dispositioned, how the month closes, how an exception is handled. Third, your control framework, what's permitted, who must approve, where a human stays in the loop. A vendor can sell you intelligence. A vendor cannot sell you your institution. That's the asset. Today, most of that asset is scattered in systems, in documents, and in the heads of long-tenured staff. Latent. Hard to use. The thing that turns it into operating infrastructure has a name. A context graph. A context graph is the system of record for how your institution understands itself. Your data, your procedures, your controls. Rendered in a form an AI system can actually use. It's the shared foundation every AI agent and copilot draws from, learns through, and contributes back to. And this is the part that matters. It sits under the same governance you already apply to data, to models, to change. We'll earn that word governance across this series. Here's why this is worth building. Built well, a context graph is a compounding asset. Stand up your first AI use case, and you validate some definitions, certify some procedures, approve some controls. Those go into the graph. Your second use case doesn't start from zero. It inherits what the first one established and adds its own. By the time you stand up your 10th use case, it inherits the validated definitions, the certified procedures, and the approved controls of the first 9. Each one is safer and smarter than the last because the understanding accumulated under governance and got reused. That's compounding. Now watch what happens when you do it badly. Same 10 use cases. No shared graph. Now every team rederives understanding for itself. Each one decides quietly what committed exposure means. Those definitions drift apart. The numbers stop reconciling. One division's answer contradicts another's, and that contradiction surfaces in board reporting or filing. This is what we'll later call context islands, a teaser for a problem we take on head-on in Act 3. Built this way, the institution accumulates AI risk faster than AI value. More projects, not more advantage. If you take one sentence to your board, take this one. Competitive advantage will not come from the model, because everyone has the model. It will come from whether your institutional knowledge compounds, under governance. Compounds, not accumulates. A pile of documents accumulates. A governed graph compounds. That distinction is the whole series. Which brings us back to our 2 banks. Same model, we established that at the start. So the difference was never the model. The bank that pulled ahead didn't have better intelligence. It had governed, shared context underneath that intelligence. Its definitions were agreed, its procedures were captured and owned, its controls were encoded, and every new use case drew from that shared foundation. The other bank gave the same model to 10 teams and got 10 private understandings. The model worked fine. The context didn't hold. The model was a utility for both of them. Only one of them governed its context. So let's name the misconception out loud, because it's the one running most AI strategies right now. The misconception is, the best model wins. That AI advantage is fundamentally a model selection problem. Pick the right vendor, win the race. It's wrong, not because the model doesn't matter, it does, but because the model is the part everyone can buy. You can't win a race on the equipment that's identical for every runner. The best governed context wins. The model is the engine. Your context graph is the road, the rules, and the map, and only you have yours. The model is not the constraint. Your context is. I keep saying under governance, so let me be precise about what that's going to mean. It won't be a new bureaucracy. It's the disciplines you already run. Risk data standards, model risk management, 3 lines of defense applied to context. And one rule holds throughout this series: AI drafts, tests, and simulates. Humans approve. The effective challenge never leaves the room. We'll earn every one of those terms, one episode at a time. So, where we landed, the model is becoming a utility, table stakes, not advantage. Advantage comes from institutional knowledge that compounds under governance instead of fragmenting into islands. And the context graph is the mechanism that makes that compounding possible. Here's the climb from here. We've made the reframe. The model isn't the constraint. Next, we open up the asset itself. Because context isn't one thing. Every AI needs 3 kinds of it: what's true, how work is done, and what's permitted. And we'll meet committed exposure properly, the one number we follow all the way down this series. Stop asking which model will win. Start asking whether your context compounds. The model is not the constraint. I'll see you in episode 2.